This is True News, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God. I'm Rick Wiles. Russia will conduct a nuclear war drill later this month. We'll have more information later in today's True News. First, we will turn our attention to the ongoing Freedom Convoy truckers' protest in Canada. Ottawa police officers raided the protesters last night and confiscated fuel supplies needed for the trucks. Let's bring Doc Burkhart into the discussion and take a look at the latest developments in the protest to end the needle Nazis vaccine mandate for Canadian truck drivers. So Doc, they're picking up we could tell last Friday, the mayor, the police chief of Ottawa were starting a little bit more tougher talk. Like, we're going to take action. We knew something was going to happen over the weekend. So they raided the drivers, they raided the protest site, confiscated the fuel supplies. They arrested people who were bringing food and supplies to the truckers. And there are rumors this afternoon, I didn't have time to verify, but there are online rumors swirling that there are hundreds of Royal Canadian Mounted Police headed to Ottawa right now. We don't know if that's true, but that's circulating on the internet right now. So it looks like
I wouldn't doubt it, though, based upon the increased level of activity that we saw over the weekend. And so, but to give folks an idea just of the immensity of the convoy and everything, we have some drone footage here. This isn't some, Saturday get-together, folks. I mean, this is something really big that's happening. Is this
at Coots? Is this?
This is at Coots, and so
which is where the Canadian-U.S. border crossing is located.
Right, and so this gives you some idea of the power of the people that are behind all of this and everything. And I'm seeing a lot more just standard vehicles, not just truck, the big rigs in there.
Yeah,
and
you can see sedans and pickup trucks.
And so there's many people that are getting involved with this. And so another video that we have here is footage. This is at the U.S. border, so this gives you an idea of what it looks like. And I think this is the footage from the secondary blockade. And so we're seeing additional trucks. I mean, just the sheer immensity of it.
Doc,
now imagine if all these vehicles were in the capital city of Ottawa.
Yes, I am so proud of the Canadian truckers. I hope the American truckers will be encouraged and start moving convoys to the U.S. side of the borders. There are several border checkpoints for trucks to enter into Canada.
Right.
And we need U.S. truckers to shut down the borders on the U.S. side at all points. Let's see some action from the American truckers. The Canadian truckers are doing an outstanding job standing up and resisting the needle Nazis. They've taken a stand. They've said enough is enough. You're going to rescind the mandates, and we want our freedom back. We're not going to tolerate Fidel Castro's boy taking away the freedom of the Canadian people. So we need to see this kind of action from American truckers. And I would also put out a call to Canadian bikers.
Yes, even
all
though it's
bikers in
a
Canada.
cold time of year for bikers.
Yes, it's cold, but there are plenty of empty rigs that you can sleep in. Start riding to Ottawa, and somebody will somewhere somehow you'll be able to get warmth. Bring a tent. Look, the American Revolution, the troops were, they walked in snow in their bare feet.
Right.
That's how bad we wanted freedom in America. The American Revolution soldiers were poorly clothed. They barely had shoes and boots. They left trails of blood in the snow as they walked barefooted through the snow, but they fought for freedom.
And compared to today, Rick, it was really only a third of the population of the American colonies that even had the desire.
That's right.
To have any resistance to King George and his oppression.
1/3 supported the king, 1/3 opposed the king, and 1/3 wouldn't take a stand.
Right. So 1/3, and that's about where it's landing right now, is making a difference. Now, on Sunday afternoon, the mayor of Ottawa declared a state of emergency, and in response to all the protests and everything. And Jim Watson described the situation in the nation's capital as the most serious emergency that his city has ever faced. And the purpose of the declaration of state of emergency is it gave the police power to do new things that they couldn't do before. Among that is being able to confiscate fuel that was coming in for the trucks. And so starting yesterday evening, police started targeting the fuel supply for the Freedom Convoy. Ottawa police moved to cut off fuel supplies to the Freedom Convoy, occupying downtown Ottawa, hours after Mayor Jim Watson declared a state of emergency. And so we actually have video here. This is from CTV News. Police confiscating gas, increasing their ticketing, and threatening arrest of those people offering convoy assistance. Let's watch this.
Upset tonight on the grounds of what some have called a convoy headquarters of sorts. Police confirm they moved in and confiscated a stash of fuel at the Ottawa Baseball Stadium. That's where trucks have been parked for the last several days. Good evening. The city of Ottawa is under a state of emergency tonight. Mayor Jim Watson, making the declaration this afternoon, suggests it is the beginning of the end. Police, too, having plans to change tactics.
They have to be much more aggressive in terms of these fines. I believe over 400 tickets were issued. Someone is going to get killed or seriously injured because of the irresponsible behavior.
Dozens of criminal investigations underway. Police say at least half a dozen arrests for mischief today alone. More than 450 tickets issued for a range of offenses, including excessive noise, fireworks, and much more under the Highway Traffic Act. All of this after police today said anyone found bringing fuel to demonstration trucks in the red zone could be arrested and charged.
We know we have to actually get out there with officers and boots on the ground to be able to actually support our citizens and actually have members do the enforcement that's needed to make sure that people have safety and security in their neighborhoods.
The protest seemingly overwhelming authorities here in the capital, and that wooden structure at Confederation Park was on the move. Police escorted it to Coventry Road beside the baseball stadium, the same place they ended up targeting for its fuel supply. The mayor telling us he is in touch with province and the feds, sounding confident they'll have the resources they need to clear the crowds. Here's CTV's Jeremy Sharon with a more on the move to step up enforcement.
Scenes like this, a clear sign authorities have lost control in the capital. A party-like atmosphere as this occupation shows no sign of moving.
Well, I guess the message is only received when the government realizes that they've gone too far. We got a country backing us right now. Until the government realizes that, we're staying.
They're staying, Rick. And
Congratulations to the Canadian truckers.
And notice, Rick, that there's no buildings on fire. They weren't, pulling down overpasses or statues or doing anything like that.
They don't know how to do
They're partying up there.
They don't know how to do a peaceful protest like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. And remember, it's below zero, and they're out there partying. And so
they could go over to the former Communist Party headquarters that's now property of Black Lives Matter.
That's
could
true.
go over there and get some advice on how to have a revolution.
Yeah, a real revolution. You have to burn stuff down and blow stuff up. Well, true to their word, the Ottawa government has decided to start arresting people. Several people were arrested for bringing gas to Freedom Convoy demonstrators. And so now, not just gasoline. You have to get into the story here a little bit. Some people were arrested for bringing food.
That's a crime to bring food to somebody.
That's a crime now in Ottawa to bring food to somebody who's hungry. So we have some video here. This is from Twitter, some video of the police in action confiscating gasoline last night.
So, in fact, yes, they are taking fuel right away from people as they attempt to fuel their vehicles.
and people are surrounding the police, even though the police are actually being extremely calm and cool about kind of everything, except for they're taking fuel, I guess. But other than that, they're being pretty respectful to everyone, considering they just got surrounded in like 2 seconds.
Well, nothing like needle Nazis in action.
Right.
Hey, I have a suggestion for the Canadian truckers, the truckers who are not there yet in Ottawa. There needs to be spontaneous convoys from every direction in Canada, and just start driving. You don't have to have a rig. Just if you got a pickup truck, if you got a box truck, you got a tractor, start moving towards Ottawa, and block every highway and main thoroughway, every street, every bridge, anything that allows traffic to enter into Ottawa. Shut it down. Lockdown. Trudeau wanted lockdowns. Give him a lockdown.
Yeah, give him a genuine
Lock
lockdown.
his communist scumbag down for good. All right, let him see the capital totally locked down. Close off every main street and highway and bridge, and force the politicians to be trapped inside the city. No food getting in for the whole city. Nothing, no fuel. You want to cut off the fuel? Cut off all the fuel for the whole city. Cut off all the food supply. Truckers, you can do it. You can bring Trudeau to his knees. You have the power, truckers, to bring communist Fidel Castro's baby boy. You can bring him to his knees. Shut down the entire city. Don't try to get into the core. Go around the city. Make a ring around the city and cut it off. That's how you lay siege to a city. In the old days, that's what the military did. You laid siege to the city.
And really, they've set themselves up perfect for that, because what they've done, Rick, is they've directed all the protest traffic and everything down to the ballpark, the stadium there in town, because there's a huge parking lot there, right? So they got all the truckers and everything down there. And then what they do after they got all the truckers there, they start taking all the gas and all the propane, because they had them all in one place.
Yes.
And so now they're all concentrated in one place. But if, like you said, if every truck driver, every pickup truck, every bicycle, moped, whatever, would surround Ottawa, they're stuck in there with them.
Nothing's getting in. No supplies.
Right.
The grocery stores will go empty. The truckers are the ones, stupid politicians, the truckers are the ones bringing your food to you. If the truckers stop hauling your food, you're going to starve, aren't you? It's time to get tough with the needle Nazis. And the Canadian truckers are on their way of doing it, but they're going to have to make them surrender. And I wouldn't quit until Trudeau gets on a jet and flees to Beijing, or at least Havana. He's got family in Havana.
We have additional footage of the police picking up propane and gasoline out of the ballpark area here last night. Let's watch this. Well, that was the police removing all the fuel and propane from the red zone area.
Well, I think the truckers are learning some strategic errors. They should never have accumulated all their supplies at one place. They should have dispersed it, moved it throughout, hidden it in trucks, done something, get it. Don't put it all in one place. The cops just came in and got it. So learn from their tactics.
Right. Well, one of the other things that's been going on is the Ottawa mayor has been frustrated by the inability of the many heavy-duty towing companies being able to move these trucks out of here. And they're saying removing the trucks could be almost impossible for several reasons. One is the towing variant that we talked about a little bit last week, where several tow truck companies have said, we have COVID. I don't think we'll be working. But there's a reality of the situation, too, that goes beyond that, and that is that a lot of these heavy-duty towing companies, Rick, rely on the truckers for business.
Yes.
And so it's, you can't really destroy that relationship either. So,
and if the truckers lock their wheels, that truck's not moving.
No, you can lock
all 18 wheels are locked.
That's right. So heavy-duty towing experts say it will be difficult or impossible to remove the hundreds of heavy trucks entrenched in Ottawa's downtown unless the drivers allow it. So the CBC counted 40 trucks on Kent and 109 on Wellington Friday, with dozens more on other streets spread around the downtown core. On Saturday, Ottawa police said 500 heavy trucks still remain in the so-called red zone. Trucker Lloyd Crow from Picton, Ontario, has been parked just a couple blocks away from Parliament Hill since last weekend, but he's not worried about being towed. He said, if you know anything at all about trucks' air brakes, once you pull that button, all 18 wheels are locked. Crow told CBC on Wednesday nothing can move it, except maybe a big wrecker. And no wrecker worth his salt is going to come anywhere near this because they're on our side. And he's right. They are. Right. So David Allen, president of Gary's Towing in London, Ontario, said, while towing a truck that doesn't want to be moved would be hard, it is physically possible, even if the air brakes are engaged. Heavy-duty tow trucks can transfer air from their system to the trucks to release the brakes, Allen said. But failing that, they could cage the brakes, which involves manually backing the brake off each individual wheel. We have all the capabilities on our tow trucks to do it, but I don't think anyone would want to, he said. That's because many companies who provide heavy towing would be hesitant to risk their relationships with trucking companies, Allen said. And I bet these truck drivers will have a very long memory of these days, right?
You better believe it. There's no towing company that's going to go in there and do it.
Yes.
And so what is Trudeau going to do? Is he going to play hardball? Who's going to do it for him? If the truckers lock themselves in the trucks, are the police going to break open the windows?
Are they willing to risk those kind of optics in Canada?
Yes.
That's
right.
the question.
In Canada. The whole world is going to see Canadian police
dragging
with
truck
crowbars,
drivers,
breaking out windshields and dragging truck drivers out. Is that what they're going to do?
Truck drivers who were the heroes of the pandemic not too long ago, remember?
So all the truck drivers, you know what? If they do something like that, Doc, it will turn other truckers against them.
Yes, even the ones that
are not
submitted.
participating right now. They'll say, hey, those are our brothers. You did that to my fellow trucker. My gosh, I'm going to participate now. And they'll stop hauling goods. And it won't just be Ottawa shut down. It'll spread to every major city in Canada. They'll shut down every city. You got to bring Trudeau to his knees. It's time the needle Nazis are resisted until they flee. Little Fidel's baby boy could move to Cuba and become president of Cuba. He's next in line. He's Fidel's boy. He could move down there and be the president of Cuba. And everybody would say, well, there he is, little communist president of Cuba. But he doesn't have to do this to Canada. Canada's a free country. And Trudeau is showing his true colors now.
Right.
But I don't think he's man enough to do it. I don't think. The left is mostly a bunch of sissies. And Trudeau won't fight. He won't do it. He doesn't have the courage to do it. He's going to send out some orders telling people to do it. And the police and others, officials, are just going to say, no, I'm not going to do it.
And the police are getting frustrated at really what they're able to do. And we'll talk about that here in just a moment. We got some cuts of Police Chief Slowly that I will find shocking. But one of the things that has been the troublesome point for a lot of the people living in Ottawa, especially the politicians that live there, is the horns that honk. You've got truck horns and train horns and everything else. Remember, this is a protest. It's not a violent protest, but it is a loud protest. And they were making sure their voices are heard. So guess what happened today, Rick? This is today. A judge has ordered that truckers' horns be silenced.
And how's a judge going to enforce that order?
I guess that they're just going to ticket the trucks when they blow their horn.
And then what are they going to do? Blow the horns.
Keep blowing the horns.
Just keep blowing the horns.
So, Ontario Superior Court Justice Hugh McLean slapped an injunction on the protesters at a hearing Monday afternoon. The case was brought to court by a 21-year-old downtown resident, Zexi Lee, who said the noise in her apartment had been measured at more than 80 decibels, which lawyer Paul Champ said was the equivalent of having a lawnmower running in her living room 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Zexi Lee, that kind of sounds like a Chinese name.
It does. In issuing the temporary injunction, McLean accepted Champ's argument that the ongoing noise was causing last and irreparable harm to residents' hearing. Alberta lawyer Keith Wilson of the Calgary-based Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom, who represents 3 of the defendants, said the protest was a matter of free expression. Tooting a horn is not an expression of any great thought, McLean said. That was the judge saying that. And so I say, keep honking. Keep honking.
Honk for freedom.
Yes. So
just honk for freedom.
So
what they ought to do is like set. The truckers are going to have to become strategic and have strategies to drive the politicians crazy. You know, maybe a certain hour in the middle of the night. You know, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Just blow the horns for a solid hour. Okay? The next day, don't do it at 3 a.m., do it at midnight. Just make that judge pull his hair out, that nobody is obeying his order. Okay? Because all he's trying to do is frighten the protesters into being silent. Well, you don't have a protest if you're silent. What protest do you have?
Right. That's the idea. It's the idea of
the protest is to irritate the government to change its policies. That's what you're doing. And horns aren't violent. They're non-violent horns.
Yes.
So blow those horns for freedom. And if you're, you know, look, everybody in Canada, you can participate. Organize a convoy. It doesn't have to be trucks. Organize a convoy to go through your local city blowing horns. Show support. Let it spread across Canada. Get it organized, folks. Make it happen. And we need the American truckers to start heading to the Canadian border. At every checkpoint where trucks cross into Canada, we need to close it down on the American side. And then we'll see if Joe Biden sends the U.S. Army in to bust heads of truckers. Let's see how he reacts to it.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, Police Chief Slowly is getting a bit frustrated, but he did use a word that last week, Rick, we talked about that, were they trying to make this equivalent to our January 6th? Well, that word insurrection came up in the conversation. Now, notice, once again, no one has shot anybody.
Nobody's raided the Parliament building.
No one has pulled down statues, done any of that. But this, according to Police Chief Slowly, this is an insurrection. And we have him on video from Friday night when he was talking to other members of Ottawa City government on what to do about the Freedom Convoy.
A police service under the Police Service Act was never created. The legislation supporting the Police Service Act was never contemplated. The oath of office that I and my officers swore were never intended to deal with a city under siege, a threat to our democracy, a nationwide insurrection driven by madness. There is no concrete plan for such a scenario as you described.
A threat to democracy, a nationwide insurrection driven by madness is what he said,
yes.
Rick.
The madness was the lockdowns, the mandates, the closure of churches. That was the madness. And now the people are responding to the madness. And little regime puppets like Chief Slowly simply are showing who and what they are. They're puppets of the regime. And he doesn't know what to do. What he's really saying is, I don't know what to do.
Yes.
That's
he said
really
the
what he
police
said.
were never equipped for that.
That's right.
And so, what's the next step then? Then either they capitulate or they bring in the military. That's their only options left, isn't it?
So if you follow this guy's reasoning, the Canadian people should just sit back, be quiet, and allow Trudeau to take away all their freedoms. Take away all of them. Because you're not allowed to protest. You're not allowed to resist tyranny.
Yes.
No, we're obligated to resist tyranny. Obligated. Even if it means our own death. You have to, sometimes men have to die so their children can be free.
Right.
And that's what's happening right now. Be glad, Chief, slowly, that these truckers are smiling.
And
Remember,
still
they're
in a
driving
good-
Max.
And still in a good mood.
Yeah.
There's-
You go in there and bust heads and see what happens.
Another thing that came out of that Zoom call meeting from Friday evening was that we finally know who was behind the defunding of the GoFundMe account for the Freedom Convoy. There was a conspiracy at hand upon the highest levels of Ottawa government in order to bring down the fund. Police Chief Slowly admitted to that. We have that clip.
We have, through the efforts of Deputy Bell, Christiane Huneau, the mayor and his staff, we've been able to shut down the GoFunding program. That's a temporary reprieve because the funds are already moving in different directions. We are now going after supply and fuel coming into the area through investigations and intelligence operations and interdictions, all of which were underway yesterday, fully underway today.
First of all, he's admitted to who needs to be sued,
Right.
the mayor, but also the mayor needs to be chased off office. What GoFundMe has done is criminal. It's criminal behavior. It is in the United States. It's interstate bank fraud.
Yes.
Okay, they took money, they transferred it across state lines, and then they stole it. Do you know this past weekend, do you know the CEO of GoFundMe was going to give the $10 million to leftist organizations? They were going to seize it and give it out to leftist organizations. And thank God for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who said the state of Florida is opening up a criminal investigation of GoFundMe.
Good.
And then Texas Senator Ted Cruz also called for a FTC, Federal Trade Commission investigation of GoFundMe in the United States because a lot of money came from Americans.
Yes.
So they committed criminal acts. Talking about GoFundMe, they took money from Americans. It was transferred not only across state lines in America, but then across international lines, and then GoFundMe was going to steal the money. So they need to go to prison, and they need to be shut down and put out of business because it is a criminal outfit. That if you can't trust somebody that says, donate, and we will transfer the funds. If you can't trust them, then they're crooks. And GoFundMe is run by crooks. And I hope they end up in prison. And I want to congratulate Ron DeSantis for being the first governor in the United States to say we're opening up a criminal investigation of GoFundMe. It is time we fight back against the left. They've rigged the rules of everything. There's no fairness in anything. They have split the country. They've divided us, polarized the country. They've done it to the United States. They're doing it to Canada. They pit people against each other. They lie, they deceive, they divide, they polarize and get people fighting against each other. They change the rules whenever they want to. One rule for you, another rule for them.
Always.
And there's no accountability. Why? Because the politicians are on their side. So what the truckers are doing in Canada is making the politicians squirm.
Yes.
They're
That's why they're doing
squealing
this.
and they're squirming, and it's a delight to watch.
And they don't know what to do. They're at their wits' end.
That's right.
Let's steal their gas, and they'll stop doing their thing.
Let's take their sandwiches from them.
You think people are so? Oh my goodness, I could say many things. So let's defund GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Well,
Go fraud
Doc,
me.
It's spreading in Canada.
Yes.
So now farmers are driving farm tractors to Toronto.
Yes. Take a look at this. Imagine, I've been to Toronto several times, beautiful city, and I just can't imagine seeing all these tractors in the downtown and everything. But this is
Must be the state fair.
This is refreshing to see so many people out in response. This is just a fringe element, though, Rick. This is just a
white
small,
supremacists, bigots,
yes, small segment of the
hate
population.
mongers.
So,
look at the names that the police and the politicians and the media of Canada have called the truckers: white supremacists, white nationalists, anti-Semitic bigots, hate mongers. What else have they called them? I mean, just every name that you can think of, because that's the way the left plays the game. They can't win fair and square, so they smear.
yes, they smear or they cheat.
Yes.
Or change the rules.
Yes.
So that's how they win. So, but
it's it is a communist tactic. It's always been that way with the communists.
We reported last week how now this has gone viral around the world. We did reports from the Netherlands and Belgium last week. In Australia, oh my goodness. So Australia, you need a convoy. You really need a convoy. We have some video from the land down under. Well, it looks like the prisoners are finally standing up in the world's largest penal colony.
Doc, the great resistance is going global. We are winning. And the politicians and the needle Nazis are on the run, and they're rescinding their mandates and trying to pretend like everything's okay now. COVID is over. We're going to be okay. Except some countries like Australia and New Zealand and Canada. But in other countries, the politicians are watching these videos and they're saying, we're done. We're out of it. We're not pushing this anymore. There needs to be a convoy in Australia to Victoria. And that little communist creep, Daniel Andrews, you need to chase him to Beijing. He's a Hitler wannabe, an absolute lunatic. And you need to surround his home and blow truck horns for the next 6 months. Australians, you can do it. Organize, drive. You don't even have to, there doesn't have to be a committee. Just people start driving your trucks, blowing your horns, and you'll be like a Pied Piper. People will get behind you and start going there. Surround Daniel Andrews, wherever that rascal lives, shut down that city and force him to resign. He's a needle Nazi, he's a wannabe Hitler, he's a tyrant, and he needs to be dealt with. You can't let things like that continue. There's no stopping them. If you don't confront them, they'll only take more power. They've been testing the resistance. Now they've found the resistance, and they have to make a decision. Do we knock heads and continue with the agenda, or do we pull back and regroup and come back against the people from another direction at another time? A lot of politicians are now thinking, let's pull back. It's starting to get too hot. But some of them, like Daniel Andrews, they're not budging at all. You got to break their spirit. You got to break their spirit. You got to humiliate them, bring them to their knees, force them to flee the country and run to Beijing where they get their orders. Because I guarantee you Daniel Andrews is paid by Beijing, China. He is a little communist, pukey stooge in the country of Australia. And I don't know why Australians have permitted him to get away with the stuff he's done, but you need to rise up in Australia. And here in the United States, look, we've got pockets of neo-Nazis, California, New York, Chicago, Illinois. We got pockets. Rise up in those states. You can do it. You can bring an end to the neo-Nazis' tyranny. President Trump released a statement over the weekend showing support for the Freedom Convoy and denouncing GoFundMe.
And he wrote this as chairman of the Trump Media and Technology Group. So Facebook and big tech are seeking to destroy the Freedom Convoy of truckers. Freedom Convoy is peacefully protesting the harsh policies of far-left lunatic Justin Trudeau, who has destroyed Canada with insane COVID mandates. Now, thankfully, the Freedom Convoy could be coming to D.C. with American truckers who want to protest Biden's ridiculous COVID policies. Facebook is canceling the accounts of Freedom Convoy USA, and GoFundMe is denying access to funds that belong to the Freedom Convoy. This is unacceptable and extremely dangerous in any country that values free expression. Truth Social is announcing today that we are welcoming the Freedom Convoy with open arms to communicate freely on Truth Social when we launch, coming very soon. Truth Social will fight back against big tech so we can protect our rights to free expression. Also, on top of everything, it is big news that Facebook daily users went down for the first time ever. People are tired of biased social media like Twitter and Facebook, and it's showing in their numbers.
Amen. Amen. One final story, and this isn't directly related to COVID, but the so-called shortages, we're told, are caused by the lockdowns and the disruption to the logistics of supplies. But Bloomberg reported today that Tyson's profits are soaring, and their stock is soaring, as rising meat prices, look at this, boost profit.
Hey, I thought this was a supply chain issue, Rick.
Isn't that the reason food prices are going up, is because the supply is disappearing? But Bloomberg says, buy stock in Tyson.
It's a good deal.
They're making more money than ever. So maybe the shortages are engineered?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time, would it, Rick? So Tyson Foods surged the most in almost 2 years. Think about this. Leading gains on the S&P 500 after the company reported higher profit and projected improving sales and margins on the back of rising meat prices. Tyson, owner of Hillshire Farms and Ballpark Hot Dogs, is kicking off earnings for meat producers at a time when U.S. lawmakers and regulators are ratcheting up scrutiny of the tightly concentrated industry. The Biden administration says a small handful of companies turn big profits while consumers pay higher food prices and farmers lose out on their share. The companies blame a lack of labor, high transportation costs, and strong consumer demand for the upward pressure on prices. But Rick, they're also showing record profits.
Of course. So what do? Well, as consumers, we don't buy any food products made by Tyson, including their subsidiaries like Hillshire Farms and Ballpark Hot Dogs. Anything that says Tyson on it, boycott it. Bring their profits down, because they're using the so-called COVID shortages as a way to become richer and richer. And this is tyranny. You've got corporate America united with the neo-Nazis and the political left to take away the rights of the people, to drain our wealth away, to push us into a corporate police state where pharmaceutical companies make billions of dollars injecting experimental gene therapy drugs into the people because the government orders the people to do it, but the government politicians are owned by the pharmaceutical companies. Do you see the way this system is working?
Who are also posting record profits.
Yes. So while we're talking about food prices and food shortages and everything, we're going to take a break from our sponsor. And this is a good time for you to write down their phone number, their web address, contact them. If you haven't started buying emergency food supplies, you really should do it, because everything I'm hearing on business radio, reading the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, the shortages are expected to last for several more years.
Right.
And that we haven't, I think it was Goldman Sachs today said, we have shortages in everything now. Everything, the whole society, everything, every market, we've got shortages. Okay? There will be a domino effect, because if you have a shortage in this, you can't make this. When you can't make this, you can't make this. And you start having a domino effect. We're going into extreme shortages, and it's all engineered.
Yes.
It's all engineered to bring us to our knees, to submit to their tyranny. We have to bring them to their knees. There's more of us than there are of them. All right? It's going to get inconvenient. It's not going to be nice, not going to be pretty. We have to bring them to their knees. Let's watch this. We'll be back in a minute.
Having good, nutritious food ready in case of natural disasters or shipping disruptions is part of the wisdom God gives to us, and Heaven's Harvest is your resource in preparedness. Our food kits have a 25-year shelf life and come in a variety of stackable sizes with handles for convenient storage or transportation. The nutritional value of the food is preserved by freeze-drying and not dehydrating it. Heaven's Harvest offers heirloom vegetable seed kits with the highest quality, non-GMO heirloom seeds simply created by nature. With 39 garden staple varieties, you can grow and produce an astonishing yield of hearty vegetables and fruits that have tremendous flavor. Heaven's Harvest also has water filtration and storage solutions, and gardening and other resources that will offer you and your family peace of mind. Visit Heaven's Harvest online at heavensharvest.com. That's heavensharvest.com, or call 800-516-4773. That's 800-516-4773.
One of our live viewers just told us online that they wanted me to stock up on hot sauce. So now I'm starting to go into a panic thinking about it, Doc. Especially Scotch bonnet peppers.
Right.
I've got to really.
Now
when I go home tonight, I'm going to order a lot.
How many bottles you have on the shelf?
I'm going to get a lot
loves
more.
Hot sauce.
A lot more Scotch bonnet. If you've never had Scotch bonnet pepper sauce, you haven't experienced pepper sauce. Okay, it's made in the Caribbean, and it is awesome. I love pepper sauce. But seriously, we're in this age of shortages, and if what they're telling us is true, we can expect to see this for another couple more years. So you're going to have to change your consumer habits and start buying the things that you can get when you can get it. And we're all going to change the way we buy and consume products. And the more that you can have in stock, the better. Doc, I'm seeing shortages in the most basic things. Like, I'm one of these guys. I'm an empty nester baby boomer. Okay, it's just Susan and me at home. You know, our children are grown up. We have so our lifestyle's different than if we had a lot of kids at the house. So I stockpile. I don't stockpile. I buy things in advance, and I buy extra quantities. So I've been doing this for years. So it's not like I just went out and started doing it.
Right.
But if you get in a habit, like there's certain basic things, like you're going to use it every day. Toothpaste, all right? The deodorant. There are things you're going to use every day. I hope so, okay? Why buy one at a time? Why go to the store, waste your time and driving to a store to buy one tube of toothpaste and one container of deodorant when you can go online and buy multiple, units and have them on a recurring subscription?
Right.
If you do that over long enough period, your supply will build up. You'll be receiving more than you're using, and eventually you'll have a little warehouse full of the most basic things. Okay, I've been doing that for years. Like shaving razors, I got enough razors to last me. Honestly, Doc, I don't know, but I've been buying razors on subscription for probably 10 years. And I buy more than I need. Not a lot, but over time, over 10 years, they build up. The razors aren't going to rot. I mean, they're razors, okay? They pile up. I have a little box full of razors, okay? I'm not worried if I read tomorrow on Bloomberg News, razor shortage. Okay.
You're the razor king now.
I got maybe 2 years worth of razors. I'm okay. Okay. Things like that. I've been buying extra for years. All right. I'm not going to run out of toothpaste.
It's like my wife. She's from the Philippines, and when she buys toothpaste, she doesn't buy 1 tube of toothpaste. She'll buy 5.
Well,
at first, it frustrated me. It bothered me and everything. But now, hey, I know.
Now you see.
Yeah.
So with toothpaste, I'm not going to run out of toothpaste this year. I got plenty of toothpaste. Basic things, okay, deodorants, things like that, because I buy it. I use it every day.
Right.
This is a no-brainer. And if I can afford to buy 1 or 2 extra, then do it. And as you do it over years, it builds up your supply. But one product that I use, they suddenly notified me they're out of stock.
What's that?
Well, it's just a hairdressing cream, okay? It's a company I've been buying from for at least 10 years. I'm the type of person, if I find a product I like and it works,
you stick with it.
I stick with it.
Right.
That's the baby boomer mentality. I stick with it. I'm not running around trying different. I found something works, I'm going to stick with it, okay? Why? Because I'm not wasting time looking for something else. I found something work. So I got an email from this company I've been buying from for 10 years on subscription, and it says, we're out of stock. How could you be out of stock of hair cream? Okay. I don't know. Is it the bottles they can't get? Is there an ingredient in the hair cream that they can't? I don't know. But they're out of stock. So I went online and I started looking at every retailer that sells that product. Every single one said out of stock.
That is so weird. And, it's not like it's like the entire supply chain is out. Just bits and pieces are out of whack.
Right.
Almost like they're playing with us.
That's right. So what did I do? I had to start looking for a replacement product. So a company that's had me as a regular customer for a decade has now lost me. Because I said, wow, they can't fulfill my product orders. I don't know if they're going to have anything next month or the month after that. I got to start buying a replacement product. So as I find another product that works well, I may just stick with it. I may never go back to that company. That's what this supply chain disruption is doing. Companies that have built up customers over 5, 10, 15 years are losing them. And they may never get them back, Doc.
Yeah, it's almost like entire industries are being wiped out a little at a time. And so, and I'm with you, Rick. I believe they're engineered.
It's deliberate. Jeff Bezos is becoming richer and richer and richer.
Oh, did you see the story last week about Jeff Bezos that
his super yacht?
Yeah, the super yacht. And they were going to have to remove a bridge in the
Netherlands.
For his super yacht
to come through?
For his super yacht to
So you're going to remove a bridge for him?
Well, just temporarily remove a bridge. But they were going to actually remove a bridge that had been there for hundreds of years,
and who's paying for that? Is Bezos paying for it?
Yes, he's paying for it.
He's going to pay for it.
He's got enough money to pay for an ancient bridge to be removed and rebuilt so he can get his super yacht out to the ocean.
It is too much money.
Here, a man that has a rocket ship. So, Lex Luthor.
I may run for president in 2024 as a Democrat. All right.
That would mess with a lot of minds.
That would mess with them. And Doc, here's the thing: in the Democratic Party, they've gone total communist. So, I would have to stake out a position in the Democratic Party that's different from all the other communists.
I think just you saying you're a Democrat.
So I would campaign as a conservative communist. I'd do a conservative communist campaign. In the Democratic primaries, I'd run against Joe Biden in Democratic primaries as a conservative communist.
More as a Robin Hood communist, take from the rich and give to the poor?
Yes, but on a conservative way.
Right.
not full communism, a conservative communism.
Communism only for the billionaires.
Yes, yes. We'd only target certain people to take their wealth from them, like Bezos.
Yeah. Capitalism for everybody else.
Yeah, freedom, capitalism for everybody else, you know. That could be fun to do that in 24. Because who are they going to have running? Really?
Yeah.
Is it Joe Biden? Anybody really think Joe Biden's going to run? I don't think so. Hey, if you want to see what a communist country really looks like, then I want to show you a video from China, because you know the Olympics are going on. Whoopee. How many of you are watching the Olympics? Not too many people, because the ratings are...
We have to pay to watch it.
Who cares? Who cares to watch transvestites compete? It's stupid. I don't want to watch it anymore. It's pagan games anyhow. But I want to show you how the Chinese communists are running things. So this next video was a live news report for a Dutch television network.
Right.
And as you see the Dutch reporter giving his report, you'll see the little communist goon come up and drag him away. This really happened on live television, I think last Friday on Dutch television. Let's watch it.
We gaan naar China, naar onze correspondent Sjoerd den Daas. Sjoerd, jij staat vlakbij het stadion. Wat gaat China de komende uren laten zien?
Ja. 哎，稍等一会儿，往前走，在新闻联播。Ja, we worden hier inmiddels, je merkt het, al weggetrokken. We zijn net ook al bij een ander gebied weggezet. Dus ik vrees dat wij later even bij je moeten terugkomen.
Dat
kan malen, ja.
Dat denk ik ook, Sjoerd. We gaan door met het volgende onderwerp. Ja. Dan gaan we inderdaad door met het volgende onderwerp. Dan gaan we terug naar onze correspondent Sjoerd den Daas. Die stond vlakbij het stadion. U zag het zojuist. Ja, kijk. En nu sta je gewoon zonder iemand daarbij in alle rust. Sjoerd, strenge maatregelen natuurlijk in verband met de coronapandemie. Wat merk je daarvan?
That's what it looks like when the left gets in control.
Yes.
America, Canada, Australia, when the left is in control, that's what you get. That's communism. No freedom of speech, no freedom of press. It's happening in America right now. I was in the first wave of censorship 2 years ago. Now, it doesn't hurt me anymore, doesn't bother me. But I'm watching other people in a state of shock that they're being censored. Prominent conservative leaders in this country being censored. Even the President of the United States was censored and deplatformed. That's how big these guys are. That's what it looks like when the communists take over. You're doing a news report, and a communist goon just swoops in and drags you away. That's what's in America right now. And you got little Fidel Castro's baby boy in Canada, and he has turned Canada into a communist regime. We have to resist. We have to push these people out of the country. That video is chilling. To think that this could happen in the United States of America. But that's where the left is at right now. When they deplatform somebody, isn't that the same as the left thought police rushing in and taking somebody offline, saying, no, 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 no. No, you can't speak. You're not allowed to speak. Who is paying for the left in this country? Who's giving them the instructions? Beijing. All right. The White House cheered for tech companies last week, saying we want to see technology companies deplatform more people.
Yes.
Well, who owns Biden? Beijing. This isn't really hard to figure out what's going on. It's a communist revolution, and we have to resist it. I want to show you some more stuff here. This is a comedian who was bragging, Heather McDonald. She was on stage bragging that she had been triple vaxxed. And as she was boasting of her 3 injections of the gene therapy drug, she collapsed on the stage and fractured her skull.
Yes.
This is for real, folks. This actually happened. People are dying everywhere where they've been vaccinated with. They took the death shot, and she didn't die. She did recover. But we've got some reports here. Let's watch.
Right. So we have some video of her. This is actually her in the hospital describing her collapse. What happened to her?
So I'm in the emergency room. I look weird. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I passed out on stage. I got up, I did one joke, and I felt so dizzy. You can see my eye. I fell on my eye. Oh my God. I cannot believe this happened. I feel so terrible that they had to tell everyone to leave and then cancel the second show at Tempe. I will be back. I've never ever fainted in my life.
No, I actually think there's a reason why she fell head first down on the stage. She was mocking God.
Was she?
She was mocking God. Comedian Heather McDonald fell hard during a show in Tempe, Arizona, but it was no joke. It was a medical emergency. Eyewitnesses tell TMZ the former Chelsea Lately star was headlining the sold-out show when she delivered her second joke. I'm vaxxed, double vaxxed, boosted, and flu shot, and shingles shot, and haven't got COVID, and Jesus loves me most. And so it's after this, after she delivered this joke, that she collapsed. As soon as she delivered the joke, she just collapsed, hit her head on the floor. Everyone thought at first it was all part of the act, but it wasn't. She was conscious, but clearly all was not well. An ENT and a nurse happened to be in the audience. They rushed up on stage to provide first aid. The 911 call came in as a seizure, but no one really knows yet. An ambulance came and paramedics tended to Heather. And so she's joking about the triple injection and everything, but she also put a zinger in there about Jesus too. And so I'll just warn everybody, God's not mocked. God is not mocked. He will remind you not to mock him. And so,
Doc, I'm seeing more reports about skyrocketing mortality rates this year. I saw a report the other day about some life insurance companies, and for the first time in the history of the company, they are in the red. They have paid out so many death benefits in recent months that these companies are losing hundreds of millions of dollars. You're going to see life insurance companies declared insolvent. And I hope it's one that I'm not paying into.
And it used to be that an investment in a life insurance company, that was a solid bet. I mean, that was a bet you could make for decades.
The Prudential Rock, solid as a rock.
Yes.
No, these companies are in trouble because they never anticipated a mortality rate skyrocketing up into the 40-50% range. So why are so many people dying in the past year? What is it? There's only one thing. These people are not dying from the virus. They're dying from the injections. We are witnessing the world's first global genocidal campaign. And it's been carried out by the needle Nazis. And there needs to be revenge against these people. The entire world's population needs to rise up in revenge against this crime against humanity. This is the most serious thing that's ever happened in the human race for 6,000 years. It is orchestrated personally by Lucifer himself to wipe out 1 billion people. Why? Why does he want to take them out? Because they'll die without Christ. And they'll be in eternity lost, never have an opportunity to be born again. Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Do you know pharmaceuticals? The pharmaceutical industry, the word is pharmakia. It means sorcery, witchcraft. I didn't make that up. That's for real. The pharmaceutical industry is derived from witchcraft and sorcery. Pharmakia. If anybody want to do a fact check on me, go ahead and do it. Doc, I've seen articles online where they go, we don't know why the word pharmaceutical was derived from a word that has to do with witchcraft. We don't know why, but over time, that's where it came from.
because so many potions and everything were involved with the ancient arts, and so it just carried over to today. And so,
Doc, I don't know, number 29, what do we have here?
Well, Dr. Leanne Nguyen, this is the lady you would see on CNN constantly, especially in the early days of the fake pandemic, that would be calling for mask mandates, lockdowns, everything else.
Yeah, she was.
And so she probably thinks that a lot of people have a very short memory because, Rick, she's actually advocating for local governments to start taking mandates down.
Yeah, they're getting scared.
So
they're scared now. They know it's gone too far, and they want to pretend like they're for freedom.
Right. So let's watch her as she lies again.
You say we can start removing at least some coronavirus restrictions. Now, tell us why.
Well, I agree with Colorado, with many other local and state jurisdictions that are beginning to lift government mandates. And I think this is the key. I'm not saying that we should be stopping masking, but rather that this needs to shift from a government requirement to an individual decision. The government can't keep on telling our citizens that this is a 5-alarm fire all the time. People are just going to start tuning it out and not pay attention. They'll be desensitized. And so what needs to happen is we need to end the state of emergency and preserve the ability of public health authorities to reinstitute mandates in the future if we see more dangerous variants later.
Now, that was the key part there at the end. We need to lift these mandates now because we might need to put them in place again later.
Yes. If I recall, and I may be wrong on this, but I think her biography, I think she was born in Shanghai.
Well, she ran Planned Parenthood for a while.
That's it. Yes, she is an expert in killing babies.
Right.
She's a real pro baby killer. She ran the entire Planned Parenthood baby butcher shop operation.
Right.
And so now she spent the past 2 years overseeing the slaughter of several million people in the United States through the COVID gene therapy injection drug.
So when she says something like, let's lift mandates, you have to take a step back and say, okay, what's your game now? What's going on?
They've tested resistance, and they now know there is a possibility of serious resistance, but they're looking at it as, hey, we got the drugs in a lot of people. Right. A lot of people are going to die. I'm going to tell you again, folks, 2022 is the year of funerals. It's the year of funerals. I don't like saying it, but it's the year of funerals. People are going to die of heart attacks and strokes and all kinds of things. It's just going to be, you're going to hear funeral after funeral after funeral. Funeral homes, funeral homes are busier than ever. Check with your local funeral home director. Ask if business is up. Just ask. Are sales up this year? Because they are. Funeral home business has never been this good.
And not just from COVID either.
No,
it's all across the board.
Yes, people are dying from heart attacks and strokes and their organs shutting down and all kinds of things because the experimental drug is shutting down their bodies. This is the year of funerals. It's also an election year. And that's another reason the Democrat needle Nazis are starting to pull back.
Right.
They've got to get through the election. And right now they see a bloodbath coming in the votes. By the way, if you've ever thought about running for office, this is the year to do it. Run as a Republican. I'm not a big Republican supporter. I vote Republican mostly because they're not Democrats. I don't vote for them because I like Republicans. They're just not Democrats, okay? And I would encourage you to run as a Republican because this will be a Republican tsunami on the local level. There will be hundreds of thousands of Republicans elected to office this year. When you start counting town council, city council, county commissioner, county council, yes, tax collector, sheriff, state legislature, you start counting all those local offices, there will be a tsunami of Republicans that will win. this is the year to run for office as a Republican. There's a good, depending on what state you're in. I mean, obviously, if you live in Los Angeles, you're probably not going to win. If you live in Manhattan, you're not going to win. But in the rest of the country, find a Democrat that's vulnerable and run against that man or woman, and you most likely will win if you run a smart campaign. Run for school board. We really need Christians running for school board. We got to just be a flood of Christian candidates for school board this year. See, the communists already took control of the colleges. They're now down to the elementary school level. They're making sure that your children are communists before they ever get to college.
Right.
That's how far this has gone. They own the colleges and universities. They now want the elementary schools. And there are a lot of little commies on school boards. And so you got to smoke them out. Get out there in the campaign and start talking about critical race theory. Talk about, all the communist agenda topics that they have in school. And you'll smoke them out. And they'll out themselves. Well, we're talking about communists. A maskless Barack Obama was seen overseeing the construction of his mansion in his state of Hawaii, where he wasn't born. Why wasn't he? I mean, Hawaii is one of the most COVID crazy states in America.
It absolutely is, Rick. And notice all the workers, they're outdoors in Hawaii, but they're all having to wear masks. But not Barry Soetoro, no, not at all. He has a whole different rule, and you can almost see in his eyes, don't take no picture of me.
Yeah, he realizes, look at that evil look. He has an evil look. He's always had evil eyes. He's a creepy guy. He's got an evil, dark look in his eyes. He knows he's been photographed.
But it's just another one of those situations, rules for thee, but not for me. Another example is New York City Mayor Eric Adams. Now, Eric Adams, some of the most severe, mask mandates in the country, and yet when he's out and about, he was pictured maskless just days after saying mask mandates would remain in effect in public schools. So preschoolers, Rick, have to wear masks.
Yes.
But not if you're the mayor.
Because they're indoctrinating the children. Children, you have no rights.
Yes.
You must obey. You must cover your mouth because you're not allowed to speak.
Yes, that's the implication. The one that was really trending over the weekend, this is the picture of Stacey Abrams. Look at this, Rick. So here she is getting her photo, and every child is masked. Now, all the adults in the back are masked too.
Once again, the message is the communists control the schools. Yes. The children obey. Their mouths are covered. But Comrade Stacey does not have a mask because she's in control. Now, I'm going to take issue with Fox News' headlines, pro-mask Democrats keep getting caught maskless. That implies that they're careless. That, I forgot there might be a photographer there. I forgot to put my mask on before the photographer showed up. That's not what she's doing. She's posing.
Yes.
The reason
it's not casual photo.
It's not casual. And they're not getting caught. They're doing it deliberately.
So what message are they sending? Right?
We're in control, you're not. We're in control, you're not. You're a little slave to us. Do as you're told. You have no power to stop us. We're the ruling class.
Wow.
I'm going to let that be my last thought for today. Please tell your friends about True News. There's nothing like it anywhere in the world. We're free, and we will remain free, and I believe you will remain free too. If you believe in what we're doing, why don't you show your support this year? Support us every month with some type of gift. Look, the Canadian truckers raised $10 million in a couple weeks. That's what happens when people just start giving. $10 million in a couple weeks, which never got to the truckers. Why can't we raise $10 million here in a couple weeks? We should be able to do it, okay? It's up to every person to say, I'm going to do something. You don't have to go through GoFundMe and hope that the money gets to True News. Just go to truenews.com. The money will come here. You can mail a check. You can call the phone number. It's on the screen. You can get your support to us, and you don't have to go through GoFundMe to do it. Take action. Stand up. Be free. I love you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.
God bless you.